Welcome to another episode of Follow Suit. As always, I'm your host, P.O. We are reporting to you live from Bobby D's Gateway here in Bedford Heights, Ohio. Follow Suit can be found on the Follow Suit Podcast Network, which will be on Roku and on all streaming and live smartphones. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I feel like I did. It's been a long day. So today going to be a very special episode. I got my siblings with me. I got my big bro, my mentor, my guidance counselor and all that, Dave here. And then I got my brother Mike here to the left of me. So he's somebody who, came into the family. Well, we were already family, but we got a story behind that. Shout out to Munch. Shout out to Jalen. Jalen just had a baby, so we got a new baby niece that's here. So congratulations to him and his wife. Appreciate y'all being here, man.
Absolutely.
I drove all the way from Charlotte to talk to you niggas.
And I seen them videos too with that weather coming up.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was 80 degrees when I
A little
left.
different, right?
Yeah, it was snowing in West Virginia. I was like, hey.
It's like when I used
It
to,
wasn't like that up here though. That's why it was tripping me out.
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
that
crazy.
bad.
it's like when I sent them the pictures when I was in Houston of the weather every day.
Oh yeah.
I used to hate you for that, but now I get it.
Gloria
So-
did that to me now with the weather down
Where
in
she at?
Florida. In Florida?
Oh, okay. All right, so the first thing I want to bring up to y'all, it's not a... People fail to realize that when you got a big family and you got a lot of kids and a lot of siblings, like how the personal things that the adults do can affect the kids and you long term. And it's a lot of pressures in being in a big family. You might have a uncle who's very successful and you got to live up to that. Now with you, he the oldest grandkid of them all. I'm second oldest, but I ain't the oldest. So grandma got over 20 grandkids, I think.
26.
26
somewhere.
grandkids, and he the
Somewhere around
oldest. So how do you feel, like, the responsibility you feel with being the oldest and the standard of how the grandkids should act and treat and all of that?
Man, honestly, I would say for me, it was hard because you want to be your own individual, right? But you got these younger siblings and cousins looking up to you, right? Somewhat of what you talked about on one of your podcasts, right? So for me, I felt the pressure. Okay, I got to do right. I got to do X, Y, and Z because I have to set the standard. We have a standard we have to set, right?
Yeah.
And that standard was handed down by our uncles. Our great uncles taught us when they were at Thanksgiving, we knew how things rolled,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Grandma household, when you're supposed to be in the basement, when you're not supposed to be in the basement, right? So it just trickles down. So
We had to wait 20 years to get to the card table.
exactly. We couldn't even play cards in the
Play
basement. We
spades.
wasn't even allowed to be that, right? In the basement.
yeah.
So for me, the whole thing, I just felt like I had to try and give you guys living examples, right? I was bad growing up. We know this. I was terrible.
Yes.
We know this.
Yes.
But at the same time, everything I instilled in you guys was don't learn from my mistakes.
Right.
Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
That was the standard of, hey, you know what? I have these younger siblings coming up under me. I have to show them the right decisions to make and not make bad mistakes based off what I did.
Yeah. And I appreciate you for all the stuff that you had to go through. Man. Not just what you did, but what you had to go through.
I got all the whoopings and you didn't.
Hell no, I wasn't a part of that.
No part.
And then with Mike, now we gonna get a little deep, but Mike is our brother. But he's really biologically our cousin.
Yeah.
But at a young age, his mom was taken away, and he always visited us. So my dad just said, "Hey, what y'all think of us adopting Mike?" So we like, hell yeah, that's our
And
brother.
I did not know this for a very long time that they said, yeah, come up here.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had a family meeting like he used to have when you got here. You remember Saturday mornings?
Every Saturday morning.
Hey,
But
come downstairs.
so, so when I watch stuff like Bel Air, I think about you all the time because you came into a situation where Dave is graduated and I'm like a senior in high school and Jalen a freshman in high school, but you in between that. So you coming into, you ain't come up growing up. Well, you was there every summer, but you ain't come up in the house. So you had to come into like a already stamped situation. So how was it for you? Because now you see how he is, how I am, but then you still got to look out for Jalen, but you still trying to find your own way. So how was that for you coming into that type of situation?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, being younger, like moving around all the time, because y'all know that's what we did. Cincinnati to Gary, Indiana, from Gary, Indiana back to Cincinnati. Gloria was born in PA, but I was too young to remember that one. So, but when that happened with my mom's and moving in with my grandmother and then moving down to Atlanta with my uncle, and he asked me one question. He's like, all right, well, you got two choices. You can move to Cleveland with your cousins, or we can go to Houston, or it was somewhere in Texas. It was because he was supposed to be starting a new job. And honestly, I don't even remember giving him an answer, to be honest with you. And I just remember Christmas time, we get packed up on the road straight up to Cleveland. I'm not gonna lie, when I seen that leaving Georgia sign, it hurt a little bit, because I knew it was gonna be a different vibe. I mean, I knew it was like, these my cousins. Every time I go up there every summer, it was always fun.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I wasn't worried about, but it's just making new friends all the time. But like I said, I wasn't worried about that. I had y'all. But once I got here, I mean, it wasn't too hard to settle in. Y'all still treated me like I was a brother, like I was born from BB. Like, that's how it was. So it wasn't too hard coming into that situation. And then seeing you two growing up, that actually kind of helped too, because I didn't have a father. I mean, Uncle Joe, my uncle, my mom's brother, he tried his best, but him being busy and stuff all the time, it's kind of difficult for him to raise a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He traveling to Egypt and shit.
Yeah. I mean, having that experience was dope, but just having siblings was different. I mean, I had Gloria and Patricia, but after my mom split up, we all split up. And so, I mean, it was amazing for me, like watching y'all, Dave already graduating, hustling hard, trying to make his money and get up at the house at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Even when he didn't have to. That's one big difference. It's like, you don't have to leave the house right now.
Yeah.
You don't.
You know what I'm saying?
I want to touch on that. I'm glad you brought that up. And wait, real quick, to clarify, when he say hustling hard, he don't mean the hustling hard. He was
like,
working.
No. Dave,
Hey,
listen. It wasn't like Dave would be up 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready to go to work. What, out on the docks?
Yeah, but that was the standard I was setting.
Cold, coming home.
Freezing cold.
Mad that we up making noise.
Man, hey, look, but I do want to bring that up though, because in the black community, it is a very big thing where like people be like, oh, you 18, you gotta get out the house.
Go, yeah.
Like what type of shit is that? Like, what kid is gonna succeed with that? Some people be 25. I'm 34 and I'm still figuring life out. So how can you expect an 18-year-old kid to just move out the house and be okay? Now our family was fine with that. Our family would let people stay until you ready to go. Like me, was I the first person to get an apartment?
I think Dave was the first one out the house.
I was the first one out the house.
Dave bought a house.
Yeah, I bought the house. I didn't leave until I bought the house at 24.
Yeah.
And that was my whole goal, because I never wanted an apartment. Remember, I felt it was dumb to be paying $1,500 in rent, and I have nothing to show for it at the end of the day.
Definitely.
So that's why I bought the house.
And I think you was next.
Yeah, but what's with that mindset? Why do people think it's okay to just push a kid out and say, hey, you grown, go ahead and be about your business at 18? Like, 18, you're old enough to go to jail and get in trouble, but you're not not an adult.
I think you got to go with a couple different avenues on that, right? We can say, A, it might be the kid, problem child.
Well, yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It may be a parent that had a child before they were ready to be a parent, so they don't know what it's like to be a parent, right? We got to reverse engineer this thing, right? Because we don't know where the breakdown is. But at the same time, there is a breakdown.
Right.
So there's I don't believe in putting a kid out, right?
Nah.
It's the same thing that we talk about with schooling. Mommy was big on education because she's an educator. When I told her I was dropping out of school, it was her biggest thing. You're going to have to work harder than everybody else. I know this. I'm good. But they always supported us. So if you don't have the background that they grew up in, It's a little different,
Yeah.
man. We got to look at their story too, because some people were parents before. You got women that are close to the same age as their daughters,
Right, right.
We know people personally, 14 years different from
Yeah,
mother to daughter.
definitely.
So
Which is
how can
crazy.
you raise a kid, right?
Grandma's
You're
dope.
still a kid at that
Grandma
time.
was at 40.
So we gotta really dive into that. That to me, that's a question that it's a lot of answers in that, right?
Yeah.
Because I know I was rebellious, but I was rebellious for a reason. And I'm
Right.
sure we'll dive into that a little later.
Yeah.
But I was rebellious for a reason. It took me to get older to realize why I
Yeah,
was
yeah. Or
rebellious.
even that you was being rebellious. You probably
Exactly.
think you was acting within your reason. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Exactly.
But that is a thing though, because it's like people don't take the time to look at, like you said, the factors of why this person is that way. They see like, damn, you got your kid up for adoption. Who the hell would do that? Well, have you ever had a kid at 13?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you done that? That's maybe they did that out of love because you don't have
The
They-
luxuries of taking care of that child at that moment.
everybody don't got the family we had. You know what I mean? We know for
We
a
were
fact.
blessed.
If I had a kid at 14, I know I can still go to school or something because my mom and dad would be like, hey, you good.
Let's be honest. Mom had me when she was 17.
Mm-hmm.
She graduated the next July. I was born December. She was 17. She
Yeah,
graduated July. Mom still has 2 degrees
Right.
because of her family structure,
Yep,
right?
yep.
She had that support. I was with Sonya growing up
Right.
when Mom was at school, right? So we really got to dive into that and see what is the breakdown in the black community, pretty much, you know?
And then to have me at, what, 20, 21?
You were 3 years later.
Yeah, so 20.
so
So 20 years old and then to still have, like, I never noticed a dip in success.
it was never.
Because the family structure around it, like with Q, our cousin,
They would never
he got
show.
2 kids. Q had 2 kids in college, and he still moved on, got his degree, and he doing well because his mom and the family was able to be behind him. And I think that, like, because somebody has a stumble in their path, don't mean that they still can't be great.
Right.
But you got to be around them to. That's the definition of a village.
So to answer your question, go back to your question of why do they feel it's okay to put somebody out at 18? I don't know. Because I know for me, I couldn't do it. I couldn't see my baby out on the street struggling.
No.
right?
See, but I think that's just that big stereotype that's just followed the black community for a long time. Like 18, you grown. You know what I'm saying? You go ahead, do what you want to do.
They following
You
suit.
out- you just get out the house.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
If-
it could have been easy for them to put me out.
But then, like you said, it also comes down to like how that child was, because a lot of that is, are you 18? You think you grown now? Go out there and live the world how you want to. You know what I'm saying? But
I tried that once.
I have too. And
I tried that once.
And Uncle Perry, I ain't gonna lie, let me scrape my ass for a minute. And boy, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it made me grow up though. I'll say that. I mean, let me know how to handle my business.
And
or how I
because
needed to
look,
handle my business.
because Dave tried it, I never tried it. I'm cool.
And-
Listen,
Yeah, but that's why I did it though.
What you want
like
me
I
to do,
said,
sir?
follow where you are, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. But it's just funny though because like you said, you don't have a college degree.
right.
I don't have one, and I'm okay with not. People always ask me like, "Dang, you don't want to go back to school? Why?" I know I can graduate.
Yeah.
It's not. I know I'm intelligent, but I don't have to get a degree to prove that I'm
When I
intelligent.
left school, I had 3.5.
Yeah.
But it was just, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I was a worker. I was a grinder. Like Mike said, I was the first. So I still had some of that old school blue collar
Yeah, them roots.
mentality
Yeah,
of
them
just
roots.
going out. I'm about to go out and get it. So at 19, 20 years old, who's getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work in -5 degrees?
Not me.
Nobody.
Quitting.
But that's all.
done
but
it.
that's what you. And to be in this industry 17 years
Yeah.
and only had 2 different jobs.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
just going through it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I can see it. I can't settle, especially once you show me that you don't value me.
Yeah.
And I
It's
already,
yeah, it's-
and
Absolutely.
I'm already, like I was talking on another episode, I've already tasted the success of what I want to do. Like I got a vision, I put the vision out there, and I tried it, and it was successful in any sort. I'm not about to keep letting you talk to me any type of way
Any
at
type
work.
of
Like,
way.
Absolutely.
I already know what I'm capable of. I've seen it. So that's like a big thing for me. But yeah, like when it comes to kids and needing degrees and stuff like that, I don't feel like, or not just degrees, but trying to make them walk the same way that we walked. Like, I just feel like as long as you give them guidance, and like I tell you, when you call me and me and Champ was outside hooping, I noticed that my son, if you try and make him do something, he's not going to do it. He's going to get annoyed and not want to do it. But if you kind of just tell him how to do it and let him do it himself, he going to just do it on his own and want to do it because he want to make you proud and want to be great. So I'm like, those are just different things that's good for everybody to know, not just with a kid, but like adults. You give them the tools and kind of let them flourish.
Yeah, you always got to see what a guy's potential is, right? Or a person's potential is, right? You know, I may give people that I work with, and I say work with, don't work for me. They work with me. Right. That's the point of going back to the corporation mindset. They think you work for them and not with them. You know, so I treat my people totally different. That's the reason I got in management. But you know, that's huge, man. Champ is he's like his uncle in that aspect.
He definitely is.
And sometimes when we push somebody, and even with Mike, man, I used to challenge Mike all the time, and he would rebel, right?
Yeah.
It's something naturally in us, right? We all want to be that alpha, right? And I think that's somewhat what we grow up and we see.
That's the hard-headedness, though. You know, everybody got that in them. I mean, mine was pretty bad. I ain't gonna lie, cause I just want to learn on my own.
Yeah.
Like, that's always what it was. Is I need to learn on my own, even if it's gonna be hard. It is what it is at that point. You know what I'm saying? I watched y'all do it. I'm gonna do it too. I know if I have to go through those hardships to learn and improve on myself, that's what I'm gonna do. You know, even if y'all told me don't do it this way, you got to do it this way, I might slip up and do it that way anyway, just to see, like, maybe that way might have been better. But you know, it wasn't. Now I have to turn around and take them 2 steps back just to make them 4 steps again. You
but
know
in my years of working, what I learned after like training and managing people was like, you can't tell somebody that this is how you got to do it. You got to give them a suggestion. This is a suggestion. I don't suggest that you do it that way, but you never know what result that person gonna get because there's not one way to do everything. You know what I mean? Like, if it was one way to do everything, we'd all be rich.
No, and I got a young dude I just hired, and he's a great supervisor, and he, we just wanted to show, we just gave him a structure, right? We said, hey, it ain't broke, just take what we're giving you. You can add to it, subtract from it. You know, it's funny, I always use gumbo, right? I always use this analogy of gumbo, right?
I never heard of
life is a big pot of gumbo, right? So everybody is going to make gumbo a little different. When you go down south, they're going to make it different, right? So that's your life, right? As you're going through life, you're going to meet people, negative, positive people, right? So you're just taking what is going to add value to you, putting in your pot of gumbo. You're creating your life. You're seeing things, exposure. You don't know how good you can have it until you're exposed to it, right? So now once you're exposed to it, you got to put that in your pot of gumbo, right? So that's how I look at it, and I talk to my people like that. And what's crazy is I can't even make this shit. I can't even make it.
I'm like, I never had your gumbo.
But that's my analogy that I use to people, because when they're trying to learn and figure out themselves, just look at your circle. Look at what you're exposed to. Exposure, I go through this with my wife all the time. Is exposure more valuable than money?
You know,
I think so, yeah. So, like, when they, like, certain things, and I ain't gonna say always.
Right.
Like,
but you see what I mean, though?
I need that money.
Right, no, you need it, but for you to go to where you want to go.
Like, for me personally, I am a sponge.
Right.
You can't expose me to something because I'm going to pick it up.
Absolutely.
Like, I got exposed to, I'm not even going to say, like, with my own show, but I got exposed to at work. I got exposed to certain, like, different ways to strategically get in front of CEO level people. You expose me the type of money they can make. You expose me the type of platforms that they use to get to this level, and the way the function and the structure go. Now everything I do in life is going to be based in that format because I was like, exposed to it by something else.
It's just that saying, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know, if you're being exposed. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
And yeah, because like I was talking about before on another episode again about like the schooling, like. Our baby brother goes to the best school in the state, and he got a 3.8 GPA, and he got offered. I mean, not offered, but he got invited
Like
to go to
camps.
Princeton camps and Ivy League schools. But at the school he was at, he not getting that type of exposure.
Absolutely not.
He not, because they not showing him this is how we behave. This is how we value grades,
Right.
and so he
The
think
standard is
the
different.
standard is different.
Standard
And
is
that's the
So crazy about that too.
but that's just how life is, and if we don't got the same look at life, we're not gonna value the same things. We're not gonna walk the same way.
Right.
So go ahead.
Do you have, and I'm just asking a question because do you have the same teachers that you had back in the day, right? So we had teachers that would whoop our ass.
For sure.
And I've had teachers that mom told people, hey,
Miss Fears.
lay hands on
Miss
him if
Spears.
he acts up.
See, you know what's crazy? I actually went to a school in Gary, Indiana that can.
They allowed to?
They allowed to.
They not
spank
allowed
Well,
to.
and I,
They had paddles.
They
bro.
allowed
well, and
They
I
had
ain't
them,
even
they allowed to.
and
That's
don't
crazy.
and don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about it in that sense. But what I'm saying is, those teachers took those jobs because they cared.
Oh yeah.
Right?
You know what's crazy? When I interviewed Ted Ginn Sr., he was saying what he loved most about COVID was it separated the real from the fake when it comes
Exactly.
to teachers. Because he was like, a teacher don't have to care about you. They got to attempt to teach you a curriculum, and then they got to make sure you eat lunch. But he like, they don't
it.
got to care about you. But
That's
once
it.
COVID hit and they had to be remote, they had to show value in those relationships. They had to show you that they cared about you. And a lot of
It's
times,
a big
like,
difference.
Like mommy won't retire because she loved being around those kids and she loved teaching them kids.
And that's crazy. You just answered that question for me because I used to always sit there like, man, like why are you not?
Because she
No,
loves
it's
the
cool.
passion
Yeah,
for
got
it.
so much
I
passion
When you
for
do
it.
what you
Yeah.
love,
Man.
it's not. The income is going to come, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing what you love, that fulfillment right there,
Yeah.
right? That
Just
joy right
like,
there.
Like having one of them students come back and just say, Miss B, I remember you, and
Man,
I'm glad
I mean,
you was there for me. That
Just think
time.
about it. We had people we went to school with, like, man, I had your mother when
Yeah.
I was in kindergarten.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, man, she was the best teacher, or first grade, or whatever.
That's dope.
And it's like for me, like I got coaches like that. I can't point out, and I got a few teachers. So shout out to Miss Taylor.
Oh,
Shout
Miss
out-
Taylor all day.
Shout out to our vice principal, Miss Smith, at the time. But outside of them, it's not like a strong collection of teachers that
Actually, really.
was not like that really cared. But not coaches. I had some coaches that'd be like text me to this day. So people like that had an impact on my life to make me want to do what I'm doing
You know
now.
what's crazy? It sucks to say it, but it's a big difference with white schools and black schools too.
Okay.
Especially with me moving from Atlanta, because you know the school I came from was
Talk about that.
predominantly black. You know what I'm saying? So
The state you
we
came
actually
from
there
was
was
predominantly black.
so we actually had some teachers that really cared for real, like
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to see students move on. I forgot his name, but we had this, and something you don't see every day. We had a black male teacher in my school down in Atlanta, and he it's one thing that he said to me that always I ran with was what was this that saying? Something about telling the truth. The truth will set you free. And it's crazy because I had cheated on a test, and he pulled me to the side and asked me about it. And he was like, "Mike, it's one of the moments where you need to become a man, bro." And it's just and really talk to me about it. And was like, "You ever heard that saying, the truth will set you free?" It's like you're gonna feel better about it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and I told him I was like, "All right, yeah, I did."
But the
And he
thing
was
about
like, "I just want you to do better." It's not. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's because you wanted to pass.
That's
Man, I
funny.
don't know what happened with you not studying and why you
Right,
got
right,
degrees,
right.
Yeah.
but this is how it starts,
It's
right?
funny
here.
you say that because we tell Champ all the time, like, look, man, just tell me the truth. If you tell me the truth, I promise you won't get in trouble. Because he'll blatantly lie about something.
Like the watch.
Yeah,
Like the
he'll-
watch. like the
Oh,
watch.
yeah, Mike. But Champ will blatantly lie about something because he's scared to get in trouble. And I was like, well, Champ, why you ain't just tell me that? I didn't want to get in trouble. I'm like, Champ, listen, in life, as long as you tell me the truth, you good. But if I can't trust you, I can't back you up and I can't protect you.
Man.
So, like, I don't want him to grow up and lie out of fear.
I tell people cause and effect.
Man,
I mean, when you really look
it's
at it like
crazy because it's that saying hit me the day Uncle Joe found out that I smoked weed. I came in the house.
I don't know. You got a job, man. I don't know.
No, yeah, true.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut that one.
Cut that one, you know.
But found out I did.
But back
something.
then you did. I don't know if
Yeah.
you do it now, but back then, yeah, you probably did it.
But that tripped me out, man. I told him, I was like, if I lie, it's gonna be worse.
No, because this is the
telling the
thing,
truth.
Mike. You know, he probably did it. You know what I mean? He a human. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I want Champ to
That's crazy
understand.
because that's another reason why I just can't be a hypocrite. Because it's like, if I did something, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit there and be mad at you for doing it.
I mean,
I'm just gonna try to correct you.
This how I view stuff. Would I want my kid to see what I was doing at ages 17 to 25? Like, I do not.
No,
I do not.
What did you do
No,
17
I
to
don't-
25?
It's a blur.
we
It was a lot of this.
It
So it's a blur. It's a blur. But speaking of that though, what's some stuff that affected you like cause it's a lot of things. Like my wife was telling me the other day that something happened to her when she was young, and she was so young that you wouldn't even think it mattered, but it still affects her now.
Right.
So what's some stuff that affected you outside of the obvious for you, but what's some stuff that might seem minor to other people that affected you when you was young? Like if somebody called you a name when you was young or talked about you in a certain way, and it kind of stuck with you for a lot of years, more than it probably should have. Like, cause go ahead.
Ooh, all right. I got a prime example. So I was in a crazy relationship, and my sister Gloria. It's crazy because it's my younger sister, but the fact that they look so much like my mom, you know what I'm saying?
They do.
Stuff that they say, it triggers me differently. Like we actually had an argument, and what she said in that argument really made me look at life different. You know what I'm saying? As being a man, it's crazy, and being a big brother.
What she
You know what
said?
I'm saying?
If you don't mind
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, if it's personal, we got it. We got it.
It's
We
not
got
really
it.
personal.
We got it.
It started with me being in that relationship. She came to the house, and I didn't know she knew where we stayed at. And she told me, she was like, one, I don't want you to end up like mom, so if you need to come and stay with me, you can come and stay with me. All right. Some time went by, some stuff happened. I ended up going to stay with her. And now my process of me moving out was slow, and that was on me. But I don't know what happened, but we got into this argument. She's just like, you supposed to be my big brother. I'm supposed to come to
Hit
you
different.
if I need help.
But see, this the
You know what
thing
I'm
though.
saying?
Like,
and
just because you the big brother don't mean you can't lean.
True.
Like just because he my big brother don't mean he can't come to me.
True. But the fact that she said that, and how I always grew up thinking like the men was supposed to take care of everything. You know what I'm saying? Watching Uncle Perry DJ.
Work.
Basically,
and
you know
work,
what I'm just
and work.
every day. Well, Uncle Perry at work. 3 o'clock in the
I bet
morning.
he at work right now.
Probably.
Sure, he at work right
Yeah.
now.
So it's just like seeing that
Certain.
and him taking weed. It's 5 of us in the house.
Yeah.
Smashing everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing that when she said that, it was just like, ooh.
What's
2 weeks after
my
that,
bad.
I had my own apartment.
You got to, because it's like, you know, you feel like now somebody that looked up to me, I let them down.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that wouldn't hurt her. She just kind of giving you a reality check. Like, come on,
And that's
man,
what
I'm
it
supposed
was. It wasn't like I'm trying to hurt you type thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just that, Mike, you need to wake up and see this. Like, bro, like
Right.
you have a lot of potential in you, and you know this.
But she had kids before you, so she had a lot more. She had to
Maturing
look
to
at.
do.
Well, no, she just had to view things in a different light. You know, when you got a kid, you can't view things in the same light as somebody who's single, whether they older or not. You got other people depending on you.
Absolutely.
So what's some stuff that was said to you that just
Said
kinda-
or
done, it don't matter, or that you even saw or was exposed to?
I guess for me, the hardest thing for me was most people don't notice that me and you don't have the same biological father.
Right.
Every time I see people with the, oh, y'all look alike.
Right, yeah, right, like,
when they see me and Big
yeah.
O, what they say, oh, y'all twins.
Yeah.
What? But
They
the
just
thing
assume.
is, so the hardest thing for me growing up was not watching you guys with your biological father, right? You got your biological father, your biological mother, right? This is something that I struggled with, and I didn't realize it affected me until I was older,
Yeah.
right? It's points of why I rebelled back in the day, right? It's points of why I did certain things, and it really didn't hit me until mid-20s, early 30s, right? That this has been affecting your whole life, and you haven't addressed it, right? So, watching you guys every day, did I feel any less love? Not at all.
Yeah, of course
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But it was something in me of, why didn't he want me?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy part is, a lot of people don't know my grandparents live next door to each other.
Like right next door.
Driveways separate, right?
Yeah.
So when you would see a person and you see these things,
Like your
not
mom lived
understanding,
right here, bro.
right, not understanding, but it didn't take till Toledo, when I was living in Toledo, and I couldn't sleep, right? Couldn't sleep, couldn't shake this. Asking God, why can't I sleep? Having dreams about my biological father, why can't I sleep, right? So I had to reach out and call him, right? Because I had to take a step of something's bothering me, I got to get better, right? Reach out to him, we build a little relationship. And you see this pressure released off of you, right? Because you're holding something. What they say all the time, you may be mad about something, but the person that you're mad at don't even know. And they're just going on through life.
Yeah.
Right? So so that affected me a lot in life of why I'm the way that I am. You see what I mean? That's why I work so hard. That's why I try to set a standard for you guys. That's why, I mean, me personally, when I was 19, I took on a responsibility that an ex-girlfriend asked me to. Shout out to Real, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shmariel, that's my daughter. It is what it is, you know. She's 7 months. I'm 19. She asked me, hey, can you still be a part of my daughter's life, right? Because I know what I went through in life.
Yeah.
I couldn't let this young lady go through life.
And never failed one time.
And never wavered on that.
Yeah.
Had relationships break because of that.
And now at 37 years old, you about to be a grandfather.
37 years old, she's about to have a child,
What?
right?
She pregnant.
See,
so-
she's pregnant. She's about to have a little boy here in actually July 12th.
Okay.
July 12th.
Okay.
So it's a day before Mom's birthday. But
So grandpa day.
Hey, that's crazy.
But that's the whole thing, man. It's like, so it was affecting me in a way, in positive and negative ways, right? It's how I treated people. I understood to look at the youth and understand that everybody doesn't have that person.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though we still had the structure, not Big O, love him to death. That's my father, and that's why it will never waver.
Yeah.
Right? That's who taught me the game.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's who taught me the game.
Yeah.
And people sometimes get mad at that because they want you to choose. Why should I have to choose?
I shouldn't have to.
I shouldn't have to choose.
They
right?
chose.
They chose. They
Yeah.
made a decision. I'm going to make my decisions based off how I feel, right? So it's a tough conversation to have at times, but the thing is, in life, if you don't have these tough conversations, how can you grow and get better from
Yeah,
it?
you can't.
So
Yeah, I was telling somebody earlier, like, you know, those conversations be awkward, and it's you hate you hate the
Absolutely.
build up for it. Like, man, I gotta go home and have this
Absolutely.
talk. But once you had that talk, it's like, everything
the pressure
cleared
is
out.
gone. So that was
Yeah.
what affected me in my life, man.
so like for me, what affected me the most was it's not something that, you know, I ever talked about with nobody but my wife, and I talked to you about it. But you know, we are big and tight knit as a family, no matter what. And the siblings are close, and siblings supposed to always stay close. And so for us, my main thing was that finding out that I had siblings outside of the
Absolutely.
parents' marriage, and this is no disrespect to our father at all, because I love him to death, and he's a great father. He's the best father.
But it's our life.
But it's our
It's
story.
our life.
It's our story too to tell.
This is
And I
what
don't-
we're talking
Yeah,
about.
and I don't tell it to hurt my mom or nothing, but like people don't realize how it impacts us as a kids, or as, well, not kids, but like as the children in the relationship. And for me, like having a little sister, she needs big brothers to look out for her and to teach her the game. And
But
getting
now
to know
that
my
relationship is hard.
getting to know my little sister, our little sister, what she suffers from a lot is trusting men in life, and it's like she really could have benefited from having us around her whole life.
Absolutely.
And now when I try and get her to open up to us, it's a guard up at all times, and I got to remind myself like, well, she's suffering from something that I've had my whole life,
Right.
or the fact that he did do that and we separated as a house. I mean, him and mom are still together, and they doing great. But like seeing how our mom suffered from that, people always ask me like, man, how can you be so consistent and faithful to your wife? Well, outside of loving my wife, like I experienced the opposite end of it as a kid. I don't want my wife to go through that, and I don't want my kids to see their mom go through that, and I don't want to have kids that are separated from each other. And because it's just, I don't want to make a random act that can lead to something that's permanent.
Right.
And I want them to know that it's okay. We love y'all, and we appreciate everything you do for us. But this is also our story and what we experienced and how it affected us. Because there's probably other people in the world who go through this and they don't know how to voice that. Yeah.
Every day, and that's so. Speaking of that, and to your point of people don't know. This goes back to exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our testimonies, right? It's things in life we have to go through, good or bad. You got to go through it.
Yeah.
Right.
When you get a new job, better pay, you got to learn and go through this process.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go through tragedy and trials, you got to go through the process. Somebody is different is going to be on that other side,
Yes.
right? So we need to stop looking at the negative and see what we can find out on the other side. One of the things that I have encouraged my wife, and I think she'll be fine with me sharing this, is because she posts about it, right? We've had 2 miscarriages, right? Tough, right? Especially when you see your siblings having their kids. It's hard. And the fact that
because me and Kelly trying to have one.
exactly, and then the fact that I'm about to be a grandfather before I've had my own biological kid, right? So that's tough, right? So with that, we have to talk about these things because somebody may be going through what you're going through that just need to hear your words to get them over that hump, to get them through that bridge, that struggle for that moment. We got to stop thinking so highly of ourselves in order to help somebody else. Humble yourself, right? Because this person may not have the structure you have.
Yeah, for sure.
They may not have that backbone. They may be on the verge of killing themselves.
Yeah, I was about to say, ours might be like, man, I'm fucked up.
I'm
But somebody
fucked up.
else's
Somebody else, because they don't have that support.
Because Ashley got you and siblings and parents that she close with.
And I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So she has that support. Somebody else may not.
And that's crazy because, like, I'm glad you shared that because I always be like, man, damn, man. Because that's the number one thing I pray for is for y'all.
Yeah.
And then I always pray for Ryan. And, I always just pray for my friends who and my loved ones, my brothers who trying to do that. And I just,
We know we don't use that word friends. It's your brothers. You know how we go.
Right.
You know.
But I just hate that has happened numerous. But I always like, damn, how can, like, that is bold to be able to post. I wouldn't be able to talk about it.
So trust me, what people don't see behind the scenes is we have to have these conversations in home.
You know
right?
who helped me understand that?
Who?
Jackie.
Yeah.
She was like, I think her and Ashley might have talked about it or something, but Jackie was like, no, I think it's like she's doing it as her testimony.
It is.
And I was like,
It's her release because
holding that in.
because think about
hard,
it,
bro.
How,
My mom's,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because I get it from my mom's because I hold in a lot of stuff, and me and Kelly talk about that all the time. Like, don't hold that in. You got to release that.
I held all that in
But
life.
it's just like
They
my
eat you
mom's.
up, man.
You see that smile all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nothing wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with her. She cool. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. But deep down inside, like,
going through it.
on the low, she going through it. Like, my sister sent me a letter she wrote to my grandmother one time, and I was like, damn, she really had some stuff she really wanted to talk about, but I don't know if she really had somebody to actually talk to.
Release it to.
Release it
Yeah.
to. You know what I'm saying? But now, like Dave is saying, having that platform, like having Instagram, Twitter, and all these social media platforms where you can say it You know what I'm saying? And people give you that positive feedback, like,
And that's
you know what,
awesome,
girl,
man.
I'm going through it too. You know what I'm saying? Or, hey, bro, you know, I feel
It's
you
cool,
on
bro,
that
I got
one,
you.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And truly and this is what we live by in our household, and truly to have a conversation, right? And you talked about this in one of your podcasts, and you were talking about how the communication in households and things like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
or people talking to each other, battling each other, right? We talk with each other. We talk about our issues. The thing about communication where people get afraid of, you got to be vulnerable to listen to
Yeah,
somebody else.
man.
And that's another thing.
That's crazy, ain't it?
People don't like
Vulnerability.
people
Vulnerability.
Don't like it. Like,
That's it.
And I don't. It's that pride too. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not about to show you my emotional side because I don't know how you gonna
How you
react.
gonna
Exactly.
treat it? How you
know
gonna
what I'm
treat?
saying?
How you gonna treat these
might
feelings
treat-
I'm about to
you
give
might
you?
flip that on me
Yeah.
one day,
So-
like, man, you a little pussy, ain't
Yeah.
you? Like,
Yeah.
nah, bro, that's not why I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing this with you because I need the help.
But what is
And
wrong
you
with
may
that?
go through this one day.
But what is wrong with that as a man? To share what you've been through in life.
True.
What is wrong
You
with
know
that?
what
What
I'm
is
saying?
wrong
Nothing.
with showing?
But that's
Listen,
how we that's
we
how
have
Society, that's how
emotions.
society wanna
society
be.
showed us.
Society
like,
paints
you
that.
grow up. Men don't cry.
Yeah.
Man.
Who cry? Men don't cry. We suck that shit up and keep going.
Man, listen.
That's how we was raised. I mean, I ain't gonna say that's how we was raised, but that's how a lot
I'ma
of the
tell you.
community
We
was
never seen
raised.
it, though.
I'm going to tell you, I realized real men cry when I see my grandfather cry.
Mm-hmm.
When I see my grandfather, that man that, I don't care about a nigga in the streets. I don't care about none of that. What I witnessed a man sacrifice every single day. Grandpa would be up first thing in the morning making coffee, making sure the kids was ready to school, while boarding up drug houses on his street
Kids and grandkids.
to make his community better, right? He was my little Martin Luther King, right? So we have to set that standard and change that.
Living right by the drug dealers.
Living
man.
right by the drug
And they
dealer.
know what he's
Next
doing.
door,
They know what he's doing.
yeah, that's
But he just like he don't care.
His purpose was bigger than this world.
Yeah.
yeah.
It still is, right? So that's the standard that we was created with. That's the standard that was set before us. So when we come and we talk and we have these conversations and we're putting our feelings out into the world, yes, I understand because this man did that.
Yeah.
Every Sunday he's going to preach that.
Yep.
Every day of his life he's going to walk that walk, and he's going to let you see the vulnerable side of
He
him.
gonna try at least.
So
yeah.
so it's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. I put that man against any man in
Oh,
this
for
world.
sure, yeah.
You know how strong that man
Yeah.
is. I done seen him two-piece my cousin on the side of the house.
Right. Right.
And then go
Right.
back and hug him.
Right.
like
And pray for him.
that's it. So I mean it's all about, man, getting those feelings out there, man. You gotta stop thinking and I don't want people to take this wrong when I say stop thinking so highly of yourself. But humble yourself to understand that somebody else may need you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole purpose, like Mike was saying, having that platform. That's exactly why I created this platform, so we can talk about common topics that other people more than likely is going through. Like,
Right,
we ain't the only people
right.
who've been through this shit before, but we got to be the ones bold enough to talk about it, so somebody else can be like, damn, I ain't the only one.
Right.
Is there anything else before we wrap up that y'all want to cover or bring up?
Nah, I mean, really, for me, man, I just appreciate you getting me on the pod. You know, it's
course, man.
you know, for me, it's
it's first
you know,
time.
I don't
Man,
do
look,
this.
look,
You know,
on
I don't do this. You know, I
camera,
stay in my little cubby hole
Yeah.
and do my 1-2. But nah, I appreciate it,
Nah,
man.
me too. I
I'm really
appreciate
proud of both of you guys,
Good looking.
and continue doing what you've been doing, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, you know, on camera, so they can see this, black man gonna say we love you. So,
Oh, absolutely.
I
I
love you,
tell
big
you every
bro.
time I love you when I get off the
Yeah.
phone.
Love you too.
love you, bro. So, once again, as a culture, we've been dealt a bad hand, but they expect us to follow suit. So we trying to change the narrative of that. So Follow Suit Podcast on the Follow Suit Podcast Network. We'll be on the Roku channels. Shout out to my big brother Dave. Shout out
Sir.
to my brother Mike, Scene, Bobby D's Gateway. You have a good one.